time to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits, whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts. This is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Okay. Starting the video a little slow today. There we are on YouTube. Hey guys, it's another episode of Get Home Safe. It's supposed to be a weekly Wednesday weigh-in edition of the podcast, but it's released on Friday. You guys are hearing this on Friday, the August 13th. That is Friday the 13th. Oh, wow. We were supposed to have Bill Barnes on, our weekly Wednesday weigh-in guest. We bumped him to Friday to kind of make for his work schedule, but it was just too much going on for our good friend Bill. So we had to go into the bullpen or bring up a pinch hitter, if you will. My good friend Tracy McFate, who's been on the program many times. We're going to try to have a conversation with Tracy here all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, Henderson to be exact. He's been on the program before, but he said graciously that he would fill in for the one and only Bill Barnes. So let's, without wasting any more time here on this Friday edition of the podcast, let's get right to it and bring on Tracy McFate. Tracy McFate joining us from Henderson, Nevada. Once again, back on the program. Haven't had him on since Christmas Day of 2020. How you doing, Tracy McFate?
Doing terrific, Matt. How about yourself?
It's a hot summer day here, and in the living room here, it's about 70 degrees, and this beverage in my hand is a little colder than that. So cheers to you, my good man.
Outside my door right now, Matt, it's 103.
Oh my. So it's a cooler day in Vegas.
You know, we had some 115, 116s here about a month ago. So right now the sweatshirts are out.
Almost hockey season, indeed. Well, Tracy, I really appreciate you coming on the program, pinch hitting, if you will, for the one and only Bill Barnes. You and I talked yesterday, and you said, "Hey, I'll come on. It's been a while." And I said, "Yeah, you know what? It has been a while. Christmas Day, to be exact." So your third time on the podcast, and I hope many more times here on the podcast.
Is Bill going to listen to this?
Of course he will. Of course he will.
Well, then let me say it's an absolute pleasure just to be pinch hitting. Nobody could ever fill in for Bill because he is just a man of many words, and I'm humbled to be here. So hopefully he appreciates those words.
Yes, absolutely. I was talking to him all week, trying to get him on the show. Hey, can we record Monday night? What about Tuesday night? Wednesday? Okay, we could do a Wednesday night show. Like he's retired, but he's more busy now than when he was working. And I told him, listen, I'm bringing in a pinch hitter. I'm bringing in Tracy McFate for you. And he says, man, I really do feel big time now. I have a guest host slot. So you're upping his game a little bit there, Tracy.
It's just like Jeopardy.
Yeah, I don't know where to go with that one. But anyway, Tracy, good to talk to you. It's we're actually recording the day before, which is nice to get it out, a more recent episode. I know you're an avid listener of the program, and I've had quite a few Rio Hondo Prep guests on here, of course, but I've had a lot, and I mean a lot, of Foothill Citrus football officials on here as well.
I listened yesterday to Andy Angelo, and it was good to hear from him and just his history of starting in East LA and serving this great country of ours. So that was a nice episode you had.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Andy was great. Still doing it at 75. God bless him. I know I couldn't do that long. So, but I've had him, John Hyde recently, Mark Saez, Mike Kearns. It's been a lot of fun catching up, talking to these guys that I knew them as officials, but kind of getting their whole story has been a lot of fun.
A trivia question here is, Andy and I worked a playoff game together at Rio Hondo Prep, where I think you were on the sidelines.
I assisted you guys, let you in a room or so. Yes, I remember that. Well, you were supposed to be the white hat. It was one of Rich Riley's final games, and you said, "Hey, Rich, you got your white hat in there?" And you moved to headlines of all places. You were the headlinesman as the assigner.
I didn't have a clue what to do.
Good times. Was that fun for you working kind of a football game where you used to run around as a kid in Boys Christian League back in the day?
It really was, and this is not. This is the truth. When I got there that night, um, I drove up far enough, and it kind of times from, I don't know, 45 years earlier or something like that, and then taking a look at the grounds, and it was really kind of cool. And I remember the couple of years that at the time it was called Boys Christian League, BCL, and just to remember those times. So yeah, and as you told me later, the guys still there with Rio Hondo Prep that were there back in gosh, that was probably mid 60s, like
Wow.
something like that. But it had to be mid 60s.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, and we've talked about that before. It's fun when the lives, cross paths. You were someone I officiated with, but you have a history at Boys Christian League, a Care Youth League now, and so many of my listeners are Care Youth League, Rio Hondo Prep alums, and then the other half, or maybe 1/3 of it, is sports officials. So that happens to be a lot of my guests, and a lot has changed since I last talked to you, Tracy. That was Christmas Day, at least it was released then, and here we are 8 months later. 2020 is behind us, but all kinds of other craziness in our lives, huh?
We're persevering through this pandemic, and I think we're all doing pretty good, but as good as we possibly can.
That's it, man. And everyone's doing well, the family and the close friends and everything.
We're doing great. We just went with some friends last night to a comedy show, and things are pretty much normalized here in Southern Nevada. You do need to wear a mask indoors. That's about the only restrictions. It's pretty big time. Kids in school have to wear them, and hopefully it does get better. But we were normal for about 3 months without any type of restrictions. There's no social distancing now. Just have your mask handy.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. Even in California, I think we had a month of freedom, and it was nice. I feel like we're going backwards, which is frustrating. And you're well aware, Tracy, as a loyal listener of the program, that Bill Barnes has a strong opinion or two. I do as well. So you might have to step in the batter's box and swing away here with some of your stronger opinions today.
I think I can do that. I'm ready.
Well, I would say the biggest news from the week was Governor Andrew Cuomo resigning after some heavy allegations. I think it was really up in the air as to what was going to happen here. Some people said, oh, he'll fight it out, he'll stick around forever. Were you surprised by the news earlier in the week when he kind of let it go at the end of his press conference? Oh yeah, I'm resigning, by the way.
I really was, because even prior to his press conference, his attorney, she came on, and she was like fighting her case right there, and discrediting the girl, the females, and just going through basically step by step. And then they said Governor Cuomo wanted to say a few words, and he was pretty combative. And I thought, man, are we just going to have to listen to this until, for another year and a half? And then when he came on at the end of it, I was really surprised. I mean, he definitely needs to go. But listening to that speech, I thought he was going to tell us, hey, folks, I'm in this for the long haul. I served you and I did nothing wrong. I thought, oh, man, we've just served this whole thing before. So I think he's got, 12 days to go. And I still wouldn't be surprised if he's got something up his sleeve, but we'll see.
I agree. The whole thing is odd. I mean, okay, a politician resigning, but just the way, I think what he did is he did the math, and he saw that the whole process, if he was going to be impeached or whatever, was going to be kind of damaging. So it was almost best to step aside and then hey, I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm going to step aside, which sounds weird. And then let the process play out. And then, I don't know, maybe come back and run for governor or run for a higher office. Even I wouldn't rule that out. I think he almost ripped the Band-Aid off to preserve a little legacy for maybe later on down the road.
Well, I remember the Watergate days, and Senator Barry Goldwater from Arizona, just a big conservative Republican. He had about 4 or 5 other senators, and they went to the White House with Nixon and said, listen, you do not have the votes. We're telling you right now, you don't have the votes, because Nixon was pretty adamant that he was going to fight it. And the next day, Nixon announced his resignation. I'm kind of thinking that maybe somebody there in the Democratic Party up there in Albany, New York, Democrat went up to Cuomo and said, look, here's the numbers, and this is not going to change. And so I think he finally saw reality.
Yeah. No, I think another theory could be that, okay, with kind of all this vaccine passport push going on, I think it's almost like the budget, obviously, that's, trying to get passed, or maybe was, but like, I have a feeling maybe this is a type of distraction. I mean, do you buy into any of that?
Oh, I certainly do, because the big deal that's being looked into criminally is the 13,000 patients that died in rest homes. And there's people like Janice Dean from Fox News who are not going to let that go. And that really has been talked about very little. And because of the cover up on that, where he ordered, his staff to underreport what was going on. And so I think he's trying to get out of Dodge before the posse. So we'll see if that's the case. But I think we're going to see something come down about what happened in the nursing homes.
Yeah, I do too. And I find it ironic that, ironic that he was given so much praise for the job that he did, where arguably he did the worst job. I mean, I know it's not easy with that state, California's tough, Michigan, Illinois, whatever. But California and New York have a lot of population, both two coastal states, right? And so he got all this credit for doing a magnificent job when he made some of the worst mistakes early on in the pandemic.
Absolutely. And it certainly didn't help when the president came on after his press conference, Cuomo's press conference, and said, it's sad because Cuomo did a hell of a job. Yeah. And I go, oh my.
Well, and hope, I wish people could, take their Republican or Democrat hats off and just look at things as they are. I mean, you and I stand politically pretty similarly, but like, I can't see a Democrat out there who says Cuomo, oh, he did a magnificent job. I mean, the numbers don't lie, much like Gavin Newsom. I mean, he's not just getting recalled by crazy, Trump voting Republicans. It's to get the vote. I mean, a lot of Democrats are pissed off here too. So I think the partisanship is starting to, maybe not be there, but it seems like this whole time, the past year and a half, everything's been divided, partisan, down the aisle. It's frustrating.
Well, you look at the Senate, and the Senate is 50-50. The House is, I believe, 6 seats difference. And so that is as close as you get. And it looks really tough to get anything done on a bipartisan level. And it didn't used to be that way. President Bush, when I forget who his Supreme Court nomination was something like 91-9 in favor for a Supreme Court justice. I don't think we will ever see anything like that happen again.
That's a really good point. I mean, in my short adulthood here, every time there's a Supreme Court justice, it's like this all-out war on the person, and it's important to look into their background and everything. But my goodness, it's split right down party lines, and it's 91-9. You'll never see anything like that.
Well, and trying to put pressure on Justice Breyer now to resign so that they can keep that as a liberal seat, and I just don't think that that's right. And I know we've kind of gotten off with that, but California is 75% blue, and they got over 1.5 million signatures to put this on the ballot. And I see on TV that they got an ad from Elizabeth Warren, and if that's what you're going to have in your corner, I kind of think you're in trouble.
I do think he's in trouble, and I think Newsom is going to go out swinging. Go out putting in all kinds of mandates and do everything he can to kind of appease the extreme left, we'll say, in this state anyway, because it's almost like that's the way to win here in California. Now, my hope is that my vote's for Larry Elder. right now, tomorrow, whenever we're voting. That's who I'm going to vote for. I don't know what the other alternative is to Gavin Newsom as far as on the left side of things or Democratic side of things, but I know who I'm voting for, and that's Mr. Larry Elder. Have you ever listened to much of his radio program, Tracy?
I absolutely have, and he's right on. And I do look at the LA Times digitally, and I look at a story they had about the last week, and the LA Times was just roasting him for things he may have said 25 years ago. And it looks like the LA Times is fighting hard to keep Governor Newsom in office, is what it looked like to me. And it was pretty well slanted. To me, and maybe you have a better handle on this, but should the recall go through, Elder's the guy. I mean, I don't think there's any really competition. Maybe Faulkner from San Diego, who I kind of like, but Newsom, Elder has really stepped forward here in the last month or so.
Yeah, and all they need is, it's whoever has the most votes, right? After,
Yeah.
as long as he is officially recalled on the ballot. So it's crazy. I mean, I never thought we would see. I saw a recall. My first election was a recall election, and we voted in not Donald Trump, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I thought that was crazy. Now we might potentially have a radio host as a governor, who I really hope for, but. It is what it is, but yeah, crazy news here in 2021. Hard to believe that it's almost old. Well, not almost. We are 2/3 of the way done with it, right? Because 2020 just felt like forever, and all of a sudden we blink and 2021's almost over.
Yeah, I think Newsom's term goes till 22. Is that correct? It must be.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And I think they really are taking it seriously. When Schwarzenegger beat Gray Davis, I mean, you had Schwarzenegger running, you had Gary Coleman weren't running, you had female dancers and that kind of thing. And I don't think we have it this time, really, except for Bruce Jenner, and you haven't seen much from him lately.
No, Elder definitely took the lead with authority there. And I just hope that he's not, I mean, they're going to smear him. They hate him, and we'll see. I mean, Democrat governors, politicians, whoever it is, often seem to have a little advantage with that whole news media. But hey, that's a different story for a different time. Well, Tracy, this time of year, usually for you, is very, very busy preparing for a high school football season as the former high school football signer. So what's it been like kind of being able to just chill and not do much the past couple Augusts?
Well, starting today and tomorrow on Friday, it's scrimmage week. And so there's all sorts of scrimmages that are starting. Luther Wilson, who took my spot, is doing a great job, but there's scrimmages that are being canceled because of COVID. There's games that are being canceled because of COVID. Duarte High School is not fielding a football team this year. I think we're going to see here pretty quickly some other schools that aren't going to be doing that. And these are schools that have been assigned. Luther did a great job of moving games around to meet the demand. And then now you're going to have cancellations on top of that. And I've been more of a support for him and like a cheerleader, if you will. And, just to kind of reinforce to him that he's doing the right thing. But it's just some crazy times. Here in Southern Nevada, they had an article about 10 days ago that the registrations at that point for football officials are 50% of the minimum required for football. And I don't know if we're about the same, but it's a problem that is absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, it's gotten worse participation wise, and I absolutely hate it. It's sad to see that football programs are vanishing before our very eyes. And, let's be honest, some of these programs who are losing the program altogether, they weren't big time programs by any means, but still, that's not what it's all about. It's about going out there and playing football. That's important for any high school to have, to identify with a football program, I think, and maybe a little bit of the community too.
Absolutely. It's probably when they're getting the last directions they're going to get before they're no longer in high school. And I remember my days, and you and I have talked about it. You have, And so this is an important part in a lot of people's lives that goes up to the parents where, football's not there for them anymore. And I never thought we'd see it, but man, it's knocking on the door.
Yeah, yeah, it's sad. Well, Luther's got his hands full assigning and everything, and there's a lack of officials usually, but in particular this year, I mean, a lot less officials, probably even less than last year. I haven't officiated football in a few years, and don't plan to. And there is this little sense of guilt, like, oh, they could use help, but I mean, we all got to do what is best for each of us too. So, yeah, you got to keep patting our guy Luther on the back, Tracy. Keep it positive.
Well, he's pretty short, so I can tap him on the head without too much of a problem. But the Foothill Citrus in particular lost a lot of top level, meaning CIF final officials in the last year. And this is an absolute great opportunity for somebody who felt they never got the opportunity from the old blind guy that was the assigner, that if they go out there and do a good job, I guarantee you that they're going to be noticed. And I'm a firm believer that whatever you do, you can always improve, a little bit each time. So if they show up to these meetings and say, instead of saying, how long is it going to take to get out of here? Instead say, what can I learn tonight? How can I get better? And I think we can see some of these guys really rise through and be leaders in the ranks, because this is the biggest key turnover in my 43 years or whatever that I've been associated with it.
Oh, it's so crazy. And what was fun doing this podcast is talking to so many different guys who worked Foothill Citrus, and to hear their stories and to hear their memories of the camaraderie of, they didn't talk about specific plays really. They just talked about how fun it was to be a part of a great group of guys and try to put together a good product on Friday nights. I mean, I mentioned a few already, Tracy, but your good friend, Joe Bernatsky, he came on the podcast a few months back. Mark Sias, who lives in Vegas now. Mike Kearns, basketball signer and former football official. I mean, those were some fun interviews talking about their lives. Did any of those stick out, or did you kind of enjoy all of them?
Oh, all of them. And of course, Joe and I are long personal friends to this day. It was interesting to hear Mark Sias. Mike Kearns was an excellent football official. I mean, he really was. And I think his knees just were kind of giving him some problem. I always enjoyed working games with Mike Kearns because he was going to work hard and nobody was going to get an advantage because Mike Kern wasn't doing his job. He always did a great job. And I loved his podcast with you. Mike was a real developer of officials in the basketball, but he would also call me. He'd go to Bonita High School lower level games because his grandkid was playing, and he would call me up from the field, and he would tell me, "Hey, this guy showed up late, and shirt untucked, or this guy's really good. He's a hustler. I don't know who he is," and that was a big help to me as the assigner. So again, those are things that we're just missing.
People don't understand when you get into this business, I'll call it, that someone is always watching. You may not know who they are. They may know someone who knows someone who will place a phone call. You have to always carry yourself like someone is watching. As you have always said, it's a big game to somebody. I mean, these are things that for whatever reason in today's age, especially, kind of go by the wayside. People just it's crazy because the irony of it is everyone has a camera now, and you can word of mouth travels much quicker than it used to. So for people to just not take it seriously is beyond me.
Well, and I would tell these guys, you're going to be out there for now with the timing rules, 2.5 hours. And so you have a choice to do a mediocre job or to with the same effort, do a good job. So just for the short time you're out there, do a good job. See if you could maybe pick something up or help the game run smooth or help a kid understand what he's doing wrong. There's so many of those things. And I just think a lot of times these guys are, stepping on the field saying, how fast can I get out of here? And where's my check?
Yeah.
And that's just unfortunate. It didn't used to be that way. As you and I have joked about a lot, our checks got left at Clubhouse 66. I'd find the check stub and say, where's the other part of this? But so, and that doesn't have, these guys aren't even, they're grabbing their bag after a game, not even taking a shower and heading home.
Yeah.
So it's just a different breed. Not that it's a bad thing. I fought it for a while. Still don't agree with it, but it is what it is.
No, you're right. And Tracy, you haven't officiated in a few years now. You had a great career, tons of high school championships, worked Division I college football. What was it? How many? What's it been? At least 5 years. How much on a scale of 1 to 10 do you miss stepping on a football field on Friday nights or Saturday afternoons?
I miss it terribly, and I think there's probably times where Connie wishes that I was there. But I miss it. I miss those Friday nights. I miss the competition of the game, and being one of the guys on the game that's going to make this game go fairly. And so I still miss it. I still miss it. And I'm pumped up for watching games tonight on the NFL Network. Our good friend Sean Hockley has a Detroit Lion game on, which will be today on Friday, and looking forward to that. And I just, yeah, I'm going to make a confession here. In my garage, and we made this move about 1.5 years ago. My thing was, if I'm not using it, I'm throwing it out. And we got rid of a whole bunch of stuff. I still have a striped shirt, a pair of black pants, and Matt, I do have a pair of knickers.
Of course.
It didn't make it into the house, but it's in the garage.
Yeah.
I have whistle, shoes, flag. I'm ready to go.
Oh, hey, absolutely. Hey, you got a last minute assignment today on the podcast. I mean, you know what? You never know when you may be needed out there.
Hey, I can be at Etiwanda High School in about 3 hours.
Yeah, Trey, you'll have to tell. I wonder if you can tell the I don't know, the hyphenated version, the abridged version, however you want to call it, of Tracy McFate and Sean Hockley, who's now in the NFL. Sean's first playoff game. I don't know if you've told that story or not. Is there a version of that you could tell on this podcast today?
I will. And I believe that Sean's dad, Ed, was there, I believe. And were you on that game?
No, before my time.
Whoa, how did I miss that one? So as luck would have it, I was assigned first round playoff game at Monrovia High School, which is my alma mater. So I did not need directions to get to Monrovia High School. And it was Sean Hockley's one and maybe only, but he didn't have many because he wasn't with us very long, playoff game. And so Sean shows up in a really nice polo shirt and a really nice pair of jeans. And I said, so you're wearing jeans to a playoff game, huh? And, oh my goodness, boy, was he was a little upset that maybe he was underdressed, and he wasn't. But we go out on the field, and I actually have people there at Monrovia High School giving me hugs, and I said, well, maybe you can wait a while for this. But so we go through there and we get everything all set, and we're going to do we do the coin toss. And as you know, we get everybody together. And so Sean, he wants to get to his position. He wants to go for, and he didn't realize, he starts to take off. And I go, no, come here. And he starts to take off. I go, Sean, this game is not going to start until I blow the whistle. And we're not ready to blow the whistle yet. And I think Ruben Lopez was on the game and or whatever. So they're all smiling. And he is just nervous as all get out. And I said, Sean, what do you think of Monrovia High School? And he said, well, it's great. And he starts to take off. I go, Sean, come here. And I go, you see that big oak tree over there? And he looks around, he goes, yeah. And he starts to take off. I go, Sean. I go, when I was at Monrovia High School, that oak tree wasn't nearly as big, but I will tell you that Tracy McFate had quite a bit of fun, if you know what I mean, by that oak tree. And he looked at me and just started laughing. And so we took off to the positions at a kind of a uneventful game and or whatever. But Sean was a great guy to have on the field, and he was probably his second year, got a playoff game, and he would tell me, he threw a delay of game, I think at 26 seconds. And I looked at him and I said, did I mark the ball too quick for you? And he got the message that was going to be the last delay of game that we were going to have that night.
Yeah.
And it was. And so, yeah, those are the things. That is the cleaned up version of the story, as much as I can tell.
That's pretty. That was much of PG. That was much better. Yes,
I think you've heard the truth version of it, but
a time or two. I like it. Hey, Tracy, tell that story again. Yeah, it's a good one. But if anyone wants to know the details, I can contact you.
One incidentally.
But no, yeah. Now he's a white hat in the NFL, following in the footsteps of his dad. And Sean is just so gracious and such a great guy. Yeah, you've worked a few playoff games there at Monrovia. You must have known the assigner or something, or
The assigner took care of me, and it didn't matter if Monrovia wasn't playing. It was the only. I always took the game that was closest. Didn't matter who it was, and when it came out on Arbiter that Rosemead High School was playing, Vince Flores called me up and said, I'd really like that game. And I said, sorry, partner, that's the closest game. I go, I can send you to Bell Gardens if you like.
You let me tag along quite a bit there. That was my second playoff game. I think was Rosemead. Worked a game with you at Monrovia. So yeah, we must have been in a hurry to get to Matt Denny's or some of these local establishments that closed early.
Matt Denny's did okay by us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Tracy, I got on the TV here. I know you got some football to watch tonight, and I'll tune in too. But something really cool is happening in Major League Baseball tonight. They are playing an official game at the Field of Dreams in Dyersville, Iowa, remodeled stadium and everything. The White Sox and Yankees. I mean, this just looks so cool. I have my good buddy Pat Holberg is actually working the plate tonight.
Wow.
Yeah, he's an Iowa kid, and we sat by each other at umpire school back in 2009. He obviously made it to the big leagues and has a great career, but so I'll be tuning into that a little bit as well. But pretty awesome, right? The Field of Dreams game.
I can't wait to see what the White Sox uniform is going to be. We know the Yankees are going to be pretty standard, but I wonder if the White Sox are going to go kind of throwback. I was watching the Dodger game today, and Joe Davis talking about they're going to introduce the players through the cornfield.
Yeah.
And Joe Bucken will do it right. He will do justice for that game, and I think it's great. I really think I am so looking forward to it. Ex-Angels pitching for the Yankees, Andrew Haney. So there'll be a lot of runs scored. But, it's a big game. It's a big game for both these teams.
Yeah. Oh, they showed the players walking, they're taking pictures everywhere and everything. They look like high school kids almost. I've actually been to Field of Dreams there in the middle of Iowa and walked around and had the whole place to myself. And I was, it's one of my favorite movies and just being there was like, man, you soak it up. So to play an actual game there, I think is just awesome. I mean, you're a fan of the movie, I'm assuming.
Oh, without a doubt. I thought it was great to see to hear the guy with the deep voice,
James Earl Jones.
Oh my gosh, build it and they will come.
Yeah.
And I think MLB Network was showing it today. I think I saw that.
They did a special like building up to it, like making of the movie, showing behind the scenes. I guess Ray Liotta's supposed to be there. Kevin Costner's there. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. Not a ton of seating, so those who get to be there, this is a pretty historical moment.
I heard they played like a little league or youth game there like last night.
Oh, okay. It looks like the original field next to it kind of works for that. They're going into the house right now, and this is
maybe right next door or something. But
the house is so cool too.
I just hope it doesn't get lost on the players because they probably, a lot of those guys weren't around when the Field of Dreams was made, because wasn't that about late 80s?
Yeah, I believe you're right. Late 80s. What a movie. It's still one of the most iconic, I think, sports movies. And some people argue, oh, it's about ghost baseball, but it's about so much more. And who doesn't get a little emotional at the end of the movie with the catch with the dad? I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah. That little kid was great.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think they are going to wear the White Sox jerseys when this airs tomorrow. We will all know for sure, but man, the special moment in sports, I think, tonight here when we're recording on a Thursday evening. You mentioned the Dodgers and the Angels. What are your thoughts on kind of the status of those two teams right now? Dodgers were struggling, made some trades. They seem to be competing again. The Angels just can't seem to piece anything together, although Ohtani's having a pretty good year.
Well, and what's so frustrating about that is they have never emphasized pitching on the Angels. And I won't talk too long on it, but and I know Trout hasn't played in a really long time, but when you got Ohtani, Trout, Rendon, some of these guys on your team, and you struggle to play 500 ball, and I fully expect we're going to hear in the next couple of days that Trout's going to shut it down for the rest of the year because they're not giving any updates on him at all. But Ohtani is absolutely amazing, just amazing. And he's got like 100 strikeouts and 80 innings or something like that, which is, phenomenal as a pitcher. And then just his home runs, a lot of his home runs have been in game-winning opportunities. And I don't know, it's a shame that team cannot be better in what I think is a fairly mediocre division.
I agree with that as far as the division goes.
And I was joking with some people on Facebook, and I think our buddy Rocky was one a while back when the Dodgers were in a big slump and everything. And I said, all this means is that the Dodgers won't cinch the pennant until September 15th. Well, the Giants are not going away. They are not going away. And I think the Dodgers are obviously playing pretty good baseball, although they got beat today. But they're not going to miss a big beat with Mookie Betts out, because it sure looks like Bellinger is starting to hit. But Trey Turner, did you see that slide of his at home plate?
Yeah.
He slid into home and didn't get dirty. Come on. But they got the pitching set up. I know that Kenley Jansen has been taking a lot of heat, justifiably so, but there's nobody to take his place. I mean, a closer is pretty hard to come by.
Yeah.
And I don't think they have anybody better than him. So it's almost like, well, we got to go with him. And he's been good for the Dodgers. The Dodgers have been good for him. This is the last year of his contract. And obviously this is it for him as far as the Dodgers go. But I still think that the Dodgers will end up in the World Series, whether they win the division or not. I still believe that.
Nice prediction. Yeah, they're so talented. Their pitching is so deep, as long as that bullpen doesn't get in the way. And then there's nights where they just can't score runs. You're like, you didn't put up any runs against the Astros, or you put one run against whoever, just very inconsistent at this time of the season in August here, that you can't really be screwing around too much. I mean, it'll be here before you know it, playoff time. So you better shape up.
You get to the sixth inning and Roberts, all he has left on his bench is the number 2 catcher.
Yeah.
and that gets to be frustrating. Nobody goes past 6 innings, very rarely. And he's got that book that he goes by. So he knows right now the way the game's going to go tomorrow night. And man, throw the book away. Get rid of analytics. And I missed it. You know the rules better than I do, but when did they outlaw the bunt?
It's a good question.
You have an extra inning. They're 1-12 in extra innings, and you have a runner on second, nobody out. Let's get that guy over to third with 1 out.
Here's my thing. If you're not bunting, you're not doing things, and things are working out for you, okay, fine. But if you're failing, if you're 1-12, as you just said, great stat, try something else.
Yeah.
What is this pride that we live? It drives me crazy with professional sports.
Yeah. I mean, they play for the 3-run homer. And that would take a lot of heat off of Jansen.
I agree. No, I agree. Back to the Angels, I cannot figure out. It's been this way for a few years. Why is it the Angels can't put together a better product? They have the best player in baseball, I think, Mike Trout. He's been there a while. They got Ohtani. I mean, different times of they've had Vladimir Guerrero. Pujols came over. He was good for a little while. He's past it now, and now with the Dodgers. But why can't the Angels, despite having big names, Rendon, right? He's there, isn't he? I mean, they just can't.
And he's out. He played about half the season.
Yeah. I mean, they just can't seem to be a contender. I don't understand it.
Fletcher is a guy, a guy that brings his lunch pail to work. I mean, he's a 300 hitter. He doesn't get too flashy, but he's a guy that sets it up for Ohtani or Trout. But then they get a Rafingo, or I think that's his name, that he was playing almost every day, and he's hitting like $160. They think this Mayfield at third base is great, and he's hitting, I think, 210. Kurt Suzuki, they applaud a foul ball. And it's just, it is really frustrating. And the people are starting to notice this. They played Toronto in a doubleheader. It was a makeup game from a rainout in Toronto on Tuesday. Did you see what the attendance was for the first game?
No, man.
3,700.
Wow.
And then the second game was 17,000. They had Ohtani t-shirt night the next night, and they had 22,000. 50% capacity for a giveaway. And so they're telling the Angels something that, we need to improve the product, and money's not an issue. I just saw where Artie Moreno's worth $3.6 billion.
Oh,
so that's a lot of zeros.
Yeah. You have to get some of your outstanding signer fees from Artie. Reach out to him, see if he can help you. I was joking with you quite a bit, or telling Mark Size, look up Tracy, have him buy a beer or two for you. Mark, he owes you a couple. Not living far from there. Tracy, did you follow any of the Olympics at all? Any of the storylines or the events?
Matt, my lack of interest was so minimal. And the biggest key issue, I never knew when anything was going to be on.
Yeah.
And I would hear about at 7 o'clock in the morning that so-and-so won, but then it wasn't going to be on until about 9 o'clock at night. There's no need for me to watch that.
Yeah.
But then I wasn't rooting against, for example, the women's soccer team. But when they took a knee and then finished third, I guess it was, I didn't feel too bad.
Yeah.
And then they had the women's hammer thrower who was going to turn her back if she medaled, and I'm glad she didn't medal. And I told a friend of mine, they ought to make her walk home from Tokyo. and he told me, he says, well, I really don't think there's a direct route. And I said, I'm very well aware of the geography.
Yeah.
It was very heartwarming to hear that one girl talk, that the weightlifter who loves her country and how great it was to be representing her country. But my interest really, Matt, was just minimal this year. And I'm kind of disappointed in it.
What's crazy is I used to kind of watch too. And I wasn't just you or me. This was kind of the norm. A lot of people just did not tune in. And for a lot of us, there's been iconic Olympic moments over the years. I mean, Carrie Struggs, the Miracle on Ice, just to name a few, Michael Phelps, everything he did. So
Mary Lou Retton,
Carl Lewis. I mean, iconic moments where you remember where you were when you watched it or whatever. And it was almost like the Olympics went by without anyone caring this time. It was really weird.
No, I did watch, I think it was the 400 hurdles where the top three finishers all broke the world record. And then I go, that's pretty cool. And then I turned on the Big Bang Theory. So but that was about it. I just couldn't get, and then not having anybody in the stands, that made it almost like a studio event.
Yeah, the whole thing was just really odd. I mean, we always deal with it when it's far away, it's in another time zone or whatever. But it is, I don't know. There was no interest, none for me. I was gonna tune into the baseball because that was interesting to me, but I was like, but to your point, the Olympian that I did want to mention her name, excuse me here, Tamira
Yeah.
Mensah Stock. Her speech was great, wrapping herself in the American flag. I mean, there was a few good moments like that, but I think the negative moments kind of overwhelmed the good stuff.
It really and truly did. And I think NBC probably took a financial bath on it.
Oh yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I mean, the Olympics used to be really cool where, all of us on Sundays, we all kind of root against each other with different teams, but the Olympics, we typically, everyone in every community here is rooting for the same team, which is pretty neat. But yeah, I didn't miss it. It just kind of happened and went past us. And I don't know. We'll see about Los Angeles here in a few years. We'll see if that changes anything when the games come here.
Matt, in 1984, when the Olympics, this is before you were born, but the Olympics were at Los Angeles. I was working for the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, and we were working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and all that kind of stuff that nobody cares about. And I would come home, I would work till about 11 o'clock at night, come home and watch the highlights and stuff. And we had everything in orders the last couple of days as far as the buses go. And the director of transportation for the MTA came in on the night before and is handing out tickets, told us, take the day off, you guys have worked too hard. And Connie was pregnant with Ryan. And we went and we saw Carl Lewis do the long jump, break the long jump record.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was sitting in the stands doing that. And he actually passed on his last couple of jumps because he had already broken the record and nobody yet had made it that far. And so it kind of built up and getting the cheer going all through the crowd and him going around the track with the American flag and that kind of stuff. So that was really cool. That was really cool.
Oh, big time. Yeah, I don't know where they're going to put everybody, and LAX needs a definite upgrade here soon because I can't imagine the entire world coming here to LA, even though most of the world comes here on a daily basis. But to have the Olympics here in whatever that is, 8 or 12 years.
Got to think about that.
Oh my goodness. Well, Tracy, let's chat about some football. It's August. We talked about high school football a little bit. The NFL is just around the corner. They're already playing games. I'm excited for that. College football, I know is something you're very interested in. And you told me the other day that you might be attending quite a few games this year.
We went with my friends that live out here and my daughter and son-in-law. We have season tickets for UNLV. And so we're sitting on the $495 for 6 games, sitting on the 35-yard line. Those tickets for the Raiders, I have no idea what they would be. But we're really looking forward to it. We got an email that they moved 2 games, one on a Thursday night to 8 o'clock and one on a Friday night to 8:30. And Connie told me, she said, you may be going to those games by yourself. But we're really looking forward to it. They're going to play Iowa State in a non-conference game here. I think the new coach here at UNLV, an Oregon guy named Marcus Arroyo, is doing the right thing. We'll see. But I'm going to get an opportunity like in November, University of Hawaii comes into town. I'm going to get to see my old friend, Victor Santa Cruz, who's the defensive coordinator there. And he was the head coach at Azusa Pacific. But we're really looking forward to being in that stadium. And I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Hey, I'm off Thursday. So, and if you don't want to stay up late, let me know. I'll take the tickets off your hand. It's a short drive for me.
I got your phone number and I'm being serious about that. So.
Yeah. When the sun goes down, the night's just starting for guys like me, Trace, as you're well aware, but hey.
The $18 beers taste just as good as the $9 beers.
Got that right. Yeah, I don't tailgate all day. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun just to get out to be in that stadium, no matter who's playing, but to support the running Rebels there. That'd be cool. Yeah, that stadium is unbelievable. You took a tour of it recently, you told me, right?
We took a tour and I was sharing with you, everybody tells me that the SoFi Stadium is like better than that. And I do believe that, but this stadium is just amazing what they've done to it. The flame for Al Davis, everything that they've done. You can stand up in the one end zone and watch the game up high, look behind you, and see the strip. And that
Oh,
is just absolutely amazing. Now, the parking they have there is about equivalent to Citrus College. So I really have no idea what they're going to do. I don't think they care, really, to be quite honest with you. But the parking is very minimal. But the stadium is really neat. We got to go through the Raider locker room. Actually got to go through the Raiderette locker room. That was pretty cool. Got to go to Mark Davis's suite. I think it's a little bit different than what he had in Oakland, but it's just an outstanding facility, and it's going to be neat to see it full and how loud it gets, just like SoFi and stuff.
yeah. Oh man, that's so cool. And I think that I think it will propel, Vegas getting more sports teams. I think, in a few years, the NBA will be there. Major League Baseball will be there.
Well, the Oakland A's are taking a very serious look at Las Vegas. I don't know if you knew that, and I hate to interrupt, but they voted. They didn't get the vote that they wanted on the waterfront stadium in Oakland, and the final vote comes in September. But the owner of Oakland has been here 4 times looking at possible stadium sites. And what they're talking about doing is building a 30,000 seat stadium, for the A's, but that they could play in the Aviator Stadium, which is about 10 miles off the strip in Summerlin. And have you seen that new minor league stadium?
no,
And
I just went to the old one.
this is it's only in its second year, and it's about a 10 or 12,000 seat stadium where they would play while the stadium's being built. But there's a decision that should be made. It's very serious. The owner of the A said, "We're not kidding. This is what they've offered us in Oakland is not tolerable at this point, and the only place they're looking at right now is Las Vegas."
Yeah,
So
it makes sense. I mean, it's a big city. It's the West Coast. Weather's great, except for the heat, of course. And the people are hungry. It's a city that continues to grow. I mean, I love that, Trey. You are a Las Vegas insider here for UNLV sports and professional sports teams making the move there.
yeah, the NBA. Shaq lives here, which I didn't know, but Shaq says that he's going to help try to bring an NBA team. And you've been to the T-Mobile. That's an experience right there,
Oof.
even before you walk into the arena.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Vegas does everything right, it seems like,
I bet your head, when you went to that Golden Knights game, I bet your head was on a swivel.
Just a little bit, I mean, you don't want to look down too often. You're looking at all the friendly faces, we'll say,
Yep.
the nice people.
Yep.
So I was wearing my Kings gear proudly, but the Kings won that day. That was fun. That would be fun. We got to get out to a hockey game too. That would be a blast to get up and catch up. But football seasons are coming. Some of the changes that, I mean, when you were officiating college football, it was kind of, I don't know how much you knew about everything that was going on as far as players and I don't know, scandals and everything, but a big change in college athletics, not just football, but this whole name, image, and likeness thing where players are going to be cashing in a lot of money, really. I mean, what are your thoughts on that as someone who was involved in college athletics for so long?
I think it's a long time coming, but I think the best person that put it in perspective was Lane Kiffin. He was on Dan Patrick's show, and he said, how hard is it? He was asked, how hard is it to recruit in the SEC against Alabama? And Lane Kiffin says, let's put it this way. The backup quarterback for Alabama is going to make $1 million. And he goes, I can't compete with that.
Oh.
And, he was just kind of joking, but I'm sure they have ways to do that. But the NCAA has been non-relevant for many years, and the NCAA needs to go away. It just really needs, as far as football goes, just needs to go away. And nothing is going to get done unless it goes through the SEC. And we're seeing the Big 12 took just a big hit when Oklahoma and Texas left, and the Pac-12 hasn't been a player in quite a while. So those are schools that really have to step up their game, because I could see the top 2 teams in the SEC playing for the national championship. quite frankly.
Yeah, and every year, because it's a
Yes.
super conference now. And I mean, let's face it, whoever loses the SEC championship game is usually one of the top 5 programs going. So it's almost like a playoff game in itself. So yeah, this super conference thing, I could honestly see the Big 12 just folding all together. Maybe 4 teams from there go to the Pac 12, 4 more teams join in the ACC or something. I could see that happening with only 8 teams remaining now. I mean, what are your thoughts on Pac 12 expansion or Big 10 and ACC expansion?
Well, I think it could start seriously with the SEC going to like Vanderbilt and saying, you know what, it's really been nice having you folks in the conference, and we're going to let you guys cut your own deal. And then, but I do think that there's going to be some type of coalition between the Big 12 and the Pac 12. And I think the Big 10 is going to be closely watching that. Because they haven't been touched yet, but yet the Big 10 is basically, a one horse pony right now. And so Michigan, there's pressure on Michigan to step up their game. Wisconsin's doing it, Indiana's doing it. But if not, you could see the Big 10 kind of in the same spot before too long as like the Pac-12. The Pac-12, this is a big year for them.
Oof.
They really need to step it up.
Big time.
And I don't think it's going to happen in Southern California.
Well said.
They haven't put on their pads yet at USC.
That's unbelievable. Well, and after seeing them play the past few years, they typically don't use their pads. So maybe that's why. I don't know.
No, their quarterback will complete 40 passes for 90 yards. So, I just don't get it. I think Clay Helton's a nice guy, but there's no offensive line there right now. None. That's going to be whoever the quarterback ends up being, Slovak or whoever. He's going to be running for his life.
Yeah, he'll be hurt in game 3, and then they'll be going. There's just no consistency. There's no identity. Are you a defensive, tough-minded school? Are you a run and shoot? What are you guys? What are you? You're nothing. You're just vanilla, and that's so frustrating. No pads in August. What are they doing?
They play very early on a very good San Jose State team.
Watch out.
Look out. I think UCLA could be an interesting team. Mm-hmm. Chip Kelly took a couple of years to pretty much clean house. And so the talent he has over there is really kind of unknown. But these schools, Matt, they got to recruit Southern California. They got to recruit Southern.
You can't be losing the best players to Alabama and Clemson. The 2 top quarterbacks in the country went there, and they're in LA, Orange County area. Lawrence
goes down, and they bring in the guy from Bosco.
Yeah.
Bryce Young is the guy he's the guy, am I not right? That's getting $1 million at Alabama.
Yeah. Backup quarterback.
So those kids, it's easy to recruit against SC and UCLA, I guess, if you're Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, Dabo Swinney, they're getting, SC and UCLA are getting what's left over.
Yeah, and I don't blame the kids. You're going to go to some place where people take football seriously. It's lucrative. I mean, sure, they talk with a Southern accent. I'm sure you'll get by just fine if you're a kid from LA or Orange County going out to Tuscaloosa or Clemson. I mean, I'm sure you adjust just fine, specifically with all those great facilities and everything. So don't get me wrong; those schools recruit the South like crazy too. But it's just sad to see so many California kids. They used to all go to like Oregon and ASU. Now they go even further east to Texas and Alabama and all that too.
Well, shortly after signing a letter of intent at SC or UCLA, then they go into the transfer portal. I mean, without even putting on a uniform.
Yeah.
So it's going to be it's going to be interesting. I think they're finally going to tell Clay Helton. They got the new athletic director there and the new athletic director at UCLA, so to speak. It's going to be interesting, but there's not a long line of coaches I think that would really come to USC.
I agree.
I think they made a run for Urban Meyer, and he goes wide. So you can't make chicken salad out of chicken dung, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, What about the NFL season upcoming? I watched Hard Knocks the other night with Cowboys. I got all fired up, and then I know the Rams are back on the field out there. That's great to see. You actually told me about a podcast that I need to listen to, Flying Coach with Sean McVay and Peter Schrager. Tell me about it.
Sean McVay is just, I mean, he's made for the media. And he talked to Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, Arthur Smith, Joe Judge, and it was Mike Tomlin. And it was really great going through for just to hear Sean McVay tell stories. And he was talking about going for the, well, first was Shanahan. Shanahan said that his team had to have a quarterback for him to go to it. So when he went to the 49ers, they didn't have a quarterback. And he says he told the owner, I'm going to need this, I'm going to need this, I'm going to need this for me to come here. And he said the owner came through with everything. And then Sean McVay interrupted because he interviewed before Shanahan. And he goes, I told the owner the same thing and he never called me back. It was really funny. He was talking about his interview with the Rams with Kroenke and Les Snead and stuff. And he had the first interview and they called him back for the second interview. And he's telling himself, because they're meeting in a restaurant in Beverly Hills and the whole bit. And he goes, man, this job is mine if I don't shit myself. And it was really funny the way that he said it. And then they talk to him and he doesn't get a phone call back for a couple of days. And he's going, what did I do? What did I do? And then they called him up and what was really funny is he was talking to Raheem Morris, who was then with Atlanta, and he tells Raheem, I got the head coaching job, but you got to sit on this for a day because they don't want to announce it until tomorrow. And Raheem Morris says, well, running on my tracker on my screen, Sean McVay, new coach of Los Angeles Rams. So that was kind of, but it's a really neat podcast. I recommend it to anybody. It's called Flying Coach, and it's about 8 or 9 episodes, and they have a different guest on, and it's just interesting as all get out.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. I got to dive in there. Yeah, McVay, when he was hired, I remember going, who's this guy? I've never heard of him. Like, I wanted Kyle Shanahan. Now I couldn't be more happy that they have McVay, although Shanahan does a heck of a job up in San Francisco too.
Oh, they talk about their arguments with Matt LaFleur in the press box, and
oh yeah,
about calling plays and stuff like that. And I mean, it's just really interesting. And they're all genuine good friends.
Uh-huh.
And Raheem Morris is just a character, and Mike Tomlin is as well. And it just puts a different side on all of these guys. So he had Cliff Kingsbury on, and he was talking to him about how good Arizona is and what a great job he's doing. And Kingsbury goes, you know, you're 8-0 against us, right?
That sounds right. That sounds funny. There's nothing quite like football season, Tracy. I love baseball, all these sports, but man, when September 1st hits roughly, until New Year's Day, really, well, even later with the Super Bowl and everything, it's just a special 5 months or whatever it is. I mean, I can't wait for it to get here.
I'm about as big a Ram fan as you. Connie and I had season tickets when they were in Anaheim with John Robinson and Dieter Brock and Eric Dickerson and those type of guys, and still a big fan. And I think it's going to be, we shared a little bit this earlier today, but the Rams 3 preseason games, their number 1 and 2 quarterbacks aren't going to take a snap because Wolford, the number 2 quarterback, is recovering from his appendix out. So they'll have 2 quarterbacks that after that last preseason game, they're going to be cut probably.
Yeah.
So preseason is somewhat meaningless, but it's going to be nice to see them back, the new uniforms, the new stadium, all that kind of good stuff. So
what do you think of Matt Stafford? Because that's the big question really going forward with this team.
I personally think that they gave up too much. I think he might be a difference maker, but if he is, he's going to do it either this year or next year. And they really mortgage the future unless they have a plan for a quarterback that we're not aware of in a couple of years down the road. But I really think they mortgage the future, but I think they know what they're doing. Sean McVay said on the podcast, as long as he's the coach, they'll never have a first-round draft choice. And I mean, and he wasn't like being funny. And he's, I don't know, they gave up for the next 4 years, maybe
Yeah.
something like that.
They are not afraid to make moves. I'll say that about Les Snead. I mean, it seems like Kroenke just sits back and is like, do whatever you guys need. Tell me where to sign the check. And they are active more than any team out there, I think.
Yes, they most definitely are. And, you know, they got the two best players on defense in Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. And then I think that they won't miss Cam Akers, which is really sad to see that he's
that hurts.
But they'll be okay in that spot. And I think I like Matthew Stafford. He's a top tier quarterback. And I'm just worried about what are the Rams going to be like in 3 years down the road when he's 37 or something like that. But, you know, McVay must have a plan. He must have a plan.
Yeah, I think you can build for the future all you want, but it's also about now, especially being in Los Angeles with all the options here that people have. If you're not relevant as far as being a championship contender, there's other things to go do. So hopefully in those 3 years, in this 3 or 4 year window, whatever it is, there's a Super Bowl banner hanging somewhere in SoFi Stadium that has the Rams logo on it. I don't know. We'll see.
All these quarterbacks that got drafted this year, and they're all very good, and you can fill in the names and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? In 3 years down the road, one of them will be available. So whoever that may be.
Oh man. Well, Tracy, it's almost time for first pitch here in Dyersville, Iowa. All the broadcasters you'll see they're all wearing kind of throwback suits and ties as well. Kevin Costner's walking around. This is gonna be a nice little evening. I think little baseball, little NFL preseason. Watching our good friend Sean Hockley. It's almost time for Corona. I gotta imagine.
I actually I'm going on. I have Budweiser in the long neck bottles right now. I'm kind of going American right now.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. USA, you Old Faithful, Bud Heavy. Look at you. I like that. That is good stuff. So, well, Tracy, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for filling in for Bill Barnes on the weekly Wednesday weigh-in. Even though it is Friday, we will keep you in mind. I thought you did a great job as a pinch hitter. If we need a last-minute replacement, I know who to call.
Well, let me know if you see Vice President Harris anywhere. Let me know. I think they're looking for her. Yeah, we'll see. I enjoyed it, and I'll keep you in mind for that 8:30 start on a Thursday night.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just be getting up and ready to rock and roll, man.
Outstanding.
Tracy, thanks again. This was fun. I look forward to chatting to you more often than not, sir. Have a good rest of your Thursday evening, and thanks again for being the pinch hitter today.
Take care, Matt. Be safe.
Bye now. Get home safe. What a pleasure that was, chatting with my good friend Tracy McFate, filling in for Bill Barnes. Very cool stuff. And yeah, we'll probably have him around just in case Bill can't make it because of work or whatever. It really is remarkable that Bill and I have been able to put together episodes for the past year or year and a half, whatever it's been. So, you know, he wasn't available this week. It is what it is. We'll make it work in the future, try to work around his schedule and mine. Not always easy, but it is what it is. So working on the new studio stuff here too. We got the couch here. It's the off day. So Valerie should be home soon. And yeah, we gotta figure out the studio situation a little bit better. But anyway, you guys don't need to hear about all that. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be back with shows on Monday. Me and Valerie actually will be the featured episode. We'll be chatting about our move in. So you'll hear from her. Her audio was kind of messed up last time. So hopefully that's better. But excuse me. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bill Barnes should be back next Wednesday. And Friday will be the Citrus College head football coach, Brandon Hayashi. So that should be a lot of fun. That will all come together next week. But guys, until then, as always, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or rounding third base, get home safe.